Hey. Just a random question, but do you know what a majority vote is? Of course. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to jab at your intelligence. Now, here's a different question. How willing are you to use it as a means of escaping? Oh? Looks like we have company. Let's listen to their argument, shall we? Yo, what the fuck? God damn it. Welcome everyone to my cause of insanity. To think there was a time where I thought Danganronpa was the worst thing that had ever happened to my psyche. Consider me properly dead on the inside now, game industry, and eat your heart out at the story of Kimigashine. Known in the West as simply Your Turn to Die. Developed by Nankidai, this episodic visual novel has begun attracting the attention of the lovers of this kind of game. Known YouTubers and streamers have begun to talk about it since 2019. Pause. Okay, good. Just wanted to take this moment and pause the video right here, because as I'm editing, I realized that Your Turn to Die actually came out in 2017, or at least the first part of the first chapter came out in 2017. Although I don't see a lot of videos from that era, that's why 2019 was the date selected, but in any case, that's all I wanted to say. I'm sorry if I forgot anybody who spoke of the game before 2019. Please notify me in the comments if there is someone. Okay, thanks. Including the likes of Johnny Awesome, Kego Kev, and Weeby News. That's how you know this is good shit. And good shit this is indeed. I cannot begin to stress how this passion project by a single person has spiraled into one of the most compelling stories I've seen in recent times. A set of events that can leave you feeling a wide array of emotions. But if there's anything I have to praise Your Turn to Die for, is actually being the first game to completely break my soul. I cried on stream over this game. I don't think I need to say much more. And you know me by now. A game is only as good as these things: characters, plot, and music. Today, under the microscope lies the cast of this new and mysterious death game. Just a few disclaimers before we dive in head first. This list is only accurate counting up until Chapter 2, Part 2. Even considering that Chapter 3, Part 1, Section B is out, I haven't played it at the time of this script's writing. Plus, this list is exclusively dedicated to the Death Game's participants, meaning all you Rio Ranger stands out there won't get a piece of your favorite psychotic doll anytime soon. And that covers everything that needs to be addressed, I believe. Oh, no wait, there is more. The way I said these characters' names was apparently wrong, so I'll do my best to undo that in this list. Good? Yeah, that seems good. And I just realized months after writing this introduction that I was bound to write spoilers for Chapter 3, including 3.1b. So, be advised, please. Everyone, put on your collars and grab your roll cards. This one's a doozy. I'm sure you're all aware by now, but in case you aren't, allow me. I'm insane. How else would you explain the existence of a video like this? However, as insane as I am, even I have rules. Some of them being no voting for children in death games, no turning your back on allies, and fuck Q-Taro. Wait, what? Oh boy, now I've done it. Listen, I can fuel the rafflecopter and emotions of any person that dares to step into my channel all day long. But no one, and I mean no one, can say they have never judged this piece of apologies. No bad words in this Christian Minecraft channel. It hurts me so much that I had to place this guy over Kazumi Mishima in the number 10 spot for one moment in particular. We'll get to that later though. While my feelings towards the baseballer giant are indeed mixed, I can't help but wonder if I would be able to avoid doing exactly what he tried to do. Starting in the beginning, he gives off the appearance of a somewhat sensible dude with a funny accent and a real soft spot for kids. In Chapter 1, I'd say he actually does his best to help out and is considered a valuable member of the group, even considering what is learned about his first trial in Chapter 2. I'd say that my aversion to this guy came from when he was like, "Oh, show your resolve please, con again and now you guys are useless, you should be voted." Bitch, get that shit out! Upon the start of Chapter 2, Q-Taro is rather tame until a very specific point, that being the recovery of the laptop. Can I say it please? Okay then. Q-Taro, what the actual fuck, man? The laptop, which was proven vital in the first main game, was in Sarah's, Keiji's, and Q-Taro's hands. And guess what happens? I'm serious, it's actually a barrel of laughs. Q-Taro hands that shit to the antagonist of the game, Sohiyori. And for what? Me tokens! Selfishness at its finest, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, you thought we were done? Buckle up, this is just the tip of the fucking iceberg. Do you want to know what this selfishness amounts to? Do you want to know the reason that Q-Taro would do anything to get his hands on how many of those tokens as he could? I'll tell you. Q-Taro knew of something. Something that I assume nobody else knew. A way out. And the fee was 200 of those suckers. In one of the bad endings where Sarah agrees to give him 30 tokens, Q-Taro straight up abandons everyone, knowing full well this would kill them. And you still ask me how I cannot like him? Give me a break, will you? This bastard is, above all else, self-centered. Wait, no, this can't be right. It reads in my notes that the fear of death will prompt different responses in different people. Huh. I wonder if this will come up later on. Yeah, I may hate what he pulled off, but he's not entirely without redemption. When he's not putting himself in front of the others, he's actually being the sensible bastard I was promised at the beginning of the game. And he actually pulls off some really good shit, including the attempt at outplaying So during the second main game using the roll cards. But for the life of me, I cannot praise this guy like I can the rest of this list. In the end, I view Q-Taro Burgerberg as an extremely selfish individual, and that bad ending solidifies that. And so number 10 it is. Sorry, big guy.
Ha 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 ha.
Huh? Who's there?
So, you know what time it is, don't you?
You? Oh god, not again. This is the top 10 V3 characters all over again, isn't it?
Calm yourself. This is the world ruled by the majority, is it not? Why did you think this would be different?
God damn it.
Hey, now. Don't be like that. You did ask people what they wanted, didn't you?
Again, wasn't to have it hijacked by some random asshole.
Well, too bad. I'm here as the voice of the majority. And I will be here whenever you're done with an entry as well.
Alright then, bring it on.
The number 10 chosen by majority vote was Kaisa 2. It's interesting to see the disparity between you and your audience, you know? Perhaps this video could be the definition of hot take?
Bite me.
I'd rather enjoy this at a safe social distance.
I feel like I've heard this joke somewhere before.
Well, you're the one writing your script, so you tell me.
Moving on, can I please start the number 9 entry?
Sure. There's really only one of these that you'll need to talk about, since, you know.
Can I please?
No!
Alright, I'll see myself out then.
Well, this is going about as good as I expected. Let's move on, shall we? Huh. Once again, my notes make me question my own sanity. It says Gundam Tanaka? Well, if I'm making this video, my sanity's long gone, so maybe this makes sense somehow? Whatever, I guess. The only person I can really think that resembles Gundam physically is... Oh, wait. Be happy! Or not, actually. I feel the Alice fans about to crucify my ass for this placement. So, let's cut the bullshit. Big brother to big brother, your actions leave a lot to be desired, Alice Yabusame. I'll clarify what I mean later on, but just letting you know right from the start. Speaking of starts, Alice's introduction is far more interesting than any of the other characters in Your Turn to Die. Calm down, Sarah. I'll open it. There's somebody inside. Yep. Yep, there was someone inside. Yes, hello, Count Dracula? I've heard of a potential copyright infringement.
Haha, the ghost. You are the sacrifice.
Fuck. Yeah, he leaves quite an impression from the start, doesn't he? And it's funny, because besides that, his presence in the first chapter is pretty, tame? That's being kind. So, of course, we turn once again to chapter 2. The Yabusame siblings take center stage throughout most of the first part of this chapter, culminating in the first major split of the game. And in my case, the death of Rekko sparked my one true major gripe with Alice. In all honesty, I was looking forward to seeing how he coped with his little sister's death. And for the start of chapter 2 part 2, I was not disappointed. A fit of rage over her death was exactly what I imagined. And that is exactly what I got. Not only that, but Alice kind of lost it. I don't think I remember seeing a character quite like that in the entirety of Danganronpa, actually. So, for, I'd like to say half of that chapter, Alice is exactly what I imagined. However, that is when he commits a sin. And that is what I meant by from big brother to big brother. He undergoes memory wipe. Specifically wiping the memories of pain that came with Rekko's death. I'm sorry, I can't fucking approve. I can't say it enough. I'm the older sibling in my household. So even though it would be criminal to say I understand what he was going through, I can't fucking approve. It pains me so much that he would rather forget Rekko's death than keep that memory as a sort of strength. I could never do that to my little sister. Ever! That is why I can't approve. That is why Alice is this low. This one act made me, I don't want to say dislike, but it certainly made me question his actions. In the end, Alice, I like you. You fight for your convictions and don't get pushed around. But I can't, swearing on all that I hold dear, relate with him. While that is indeed a good thing for me, I can't help but wonder how I would react if my little sister... Let's move on before we all get depressed, shall we?
Time to watch that majority vote. I'm intrigued about this one.
It's a sick joke, I swear. They do this on purpose.
Hey now, no sad faces, remember? The real pain is yet to come.
How about you shut up and just reveal the majority vote already?
Your call. The number 9 chosen by majority vote was Riko Yabusame. Guess it's up to me then. Riko Yabusame seems to be less popular than her brother when it comes to the majority vote. A true pity. I think they're both amazing characters on their own, with their own strengths and weaknesses. Ha ha ha. I wonder where's her spot on his list? Done with the temper tantrum, mister?
Shut up. Rekko left, by the way, so let's move on.
So gloomy.
We are looking for the parents of a weird-looking child. If they know who we are talking about, please report to aisle 8. Thank you for your comprehension. Don't worry, sweetie, we'll find— I'm a big boy, not a weird-looking child. You might seem a bit better than the loner, but you still seem like a total creep. Well, there goes my incredibly low self-esteem. Gin Protection Squad, assemble! If anyone dares to talk shit to my baby boy, I will quarter them with no regrets. That instinct's out of the way. Yay! It's Gin! Geez, Ed, for someone you want to protect like that, sure is nice to give him the number 8 spot, huh? Listen here, you little—
Language!
It's fine. It's fine. I don't bite. Much. Or at all. Genebushi is the definition of cute little brother. Something I can't relate at all because, like I overstated in the number 9 entry, I have a little sister. She may be evil, but she's my evil little sister and I love her to death. Getting sidetracked, so let's stop that. Now, here's the deal. Trade offer. You receive detailed analysis on Gin. I receive immense amounts of serotonin. Gin is an interesting character for a multitude of reasons, and I hope I can convey those clearly through this entry. The first one of those being the fact that he clearly admires those he considers responsible adults, such as Mishima, Sarah, and Nao. He looks up to them immensely, giving them all nicknames and hanging around with them most of the time. Sarah in particular develops a sibling-like bond with the little boy, which I can't seem to get enough of in all honesty. He's also incredibly straightforward. From the moment he first shows up on screen, he's not really afraid to speak up his mind. I've always appreciated characters like that. Mostly. Through all that happens in the game and how he reacts to it, it's easy to forget that he's still just a middle schooler, and I'd wager a bit younger than Kana. More often than not, Gin is one of the few who's always ready to fight back when things start going tough. And true, he sometimes gets a little overwhelmed, but come on, give him some slack, okay? He's like 10. Overall though, it's kind of hard to find something to dislike on him. Well, maybe besides the lack of actual major breakthroughs he accomplished. Again, I can cut him some slack since he's a kid, but compare him with some of the other characters in the game and— well, I'm sorry, he didn't do much for himself. I mean, he came in last during 2-1 for a reason, folks. Either way, I can't be mad at him for that. Or for anything else, actually. I love the kid to death, and his presence makes me either feel for him or laugh my ass off. Then there's the crazy conspiracy theories around him. I'll be blunt when I say I don't believe them, and I'll be crushed if they turn out to be the truth because, well, it's actually plausible, and that scares me. This game is known for not pulling any punches, and I'm afraid that it will be the same once we get to the final part. And not because it'd be arguably the biggest stab in the back, but because if it happens, I'll never let it go on myself for not seeing it coming. In any case, sometimes it's easier to remember people for what they were, rather than what they eventually become. Whether a villain or a good boy, Genebushi lands in the number 8 spot of my personal list.
Ding ding ding.
Just get it over with.
This one brings me a lot of personal pleasure, you see?
Don't care, didn't ask. Get it over with.
Man, aren't you just a ball of sunshine? The number 8 chosen by majority vote was Miss Sarah Chaituan.
Okay, see, this one I can understand. I can totally see her being divisive.
I'm not even sure I should be that high up on the list.
Aw, come on now, Miss Sarah, you needn't be so down on yourself.
Oh, just shut up so.
Did you really have to take away the fun of the act like that?
Everybody already knew.
Aw, shucks, I'm just that recognizable.
I'll get a chance to defend your case, Sarah. Don't worry.
I do look forward to that.
Oh, so do I.
Number 7, please. Oh, great. He's at it again, everybody. Hey, this guy's a cheater. He says this is a top 10. Lies. Lies and deceit. This is no top 10. It's a comedy show, for fuck's sake. Too bad those don't come in flavors. Could someone please explain to me why there's another fucking tie in my script? Yep, just as the hours are a set measure of time, so too is the absolute rule of my top 10s. Always a tie there is. Listen, I promise it's not done on purpose. I always weigh the characters on any game I do these countdowns for, and as luck would have it, there's always that pair. Oh, that choice of words was accidentally happy. Whatever, let's just move on to talking about them. We'll start with everyone's favorite art student, Naoe Gakuro. This young rose-haired pretty lady is, bar maybe Sarah and on par with Reko, guess why it's a tie, the most caring character in this roster. Unfortunately for her, there's not a lot of times in which that caring nature can come out, mainly because she's almost always in the forefront of being affected by this damn death game. However, it's not her caring nature that gets her this spot, despite my earlier remark. No, I want to address something entirely darker and actually more realistic about her. The theme of fear. I will get more of a chance to talk about this later, but humans always have a tendency to fear the unknown, especially if that unknown involves, you know, death. It's remarkable to find all the different ways this story manages to convey that. And I'd say that one of the most fascinating has to be Nao's. Despite the fact that she truly cares for everybody in the cast, she won't really look the other way if an opportunity arises for her. You might be thinking that makes her no better than Q-Taro, to which I say, sort of? The distinguishing factor is that she's not hypocritical about it, or rather, she's not an arrogant bastard about it. Let's not forget that she saw her role model get decapitated in front of her to confront her with the reality of the death game. That's awful. From then on, Nao understood what she was in for, and while she did help both Kai and So at different times, both of them ended up benefiting the group as a whole, one way or another. In the end, it all boils down to the second main game, a transgression by the floor master to eliminate those the organization deemed unworthy. And at the center of it all lied the sacrifice card, in the hands of Naoe Gakuro. She then makes one last-ditch effort to survive by appealing to Sarah for a vote on her. It's actually a possible ending too, but one that I wouldn't consider many players chose at first. Much like with NG Onaga and Danganronpa V3, I can't see Nao's actions as malicious. She's really just trying to get by. And she even expresses relief when Sarah eventually votes for either of the commoners in the decision, not having to betray the group like that. I just don't know. I really like Nao, and I feel bad for her. The game was rigged from the start for her, and she had no chance at all to even consider surviving. Keep painting in heaven, Naoe Gakuro. I know I will certainly miss you in this game. Fittingly enough, Nao ties for number 7 with her best friend / lover, depending on who you ask. Reko Yabusame. She's the younger sister of the Yabusame siblings, and a singer for a very popular band. Adding to that, she just has this awesome aura around her, brimming with energy. I swear I've heard someone like that before. Well, whatever the case, it didn't really take me long to like her. She's actually super assertive, not taking shit from anybody, and being genuinely a really nice companion to the cast. Together with Nao, they were the ones who looked after little Kana during most of the first chapter. And while her contribution to that part of the game is tenuous, much like her brother's, it's in chapter 2 that she begins to shine. Upon the reveal of attractions, she gets right to work, even working with Sarah multiple times to get the job done. And then there's the Room of Lies. Oh boy. The final part of 2-1 subgame made me commit a mistake. And for that, Reko perished, killed by her own duplicate. I was pissed off at that. much like Alice was at first. While that made it the end of her journey in my Let's Play, I went back and watched others' journeys through this game. People who had managed to save her from her death, you know? And what I found was beautiful. The willpower this girl possesses is nothing short of fucking phenomenal. It's true that I shit-talked Alice for the decisions he took after his sister died. But looking at Reko's route, it's easy to see what Nankidai was going for with this. The two siblings could not be more different from each other, and the two routes exemplify that. And that is to the point where she actively refuses memory wipe of the bad memories with her brother. While she says it's because she doesn't have that many memories to begin with, I choose to believe that she wanted to use them as a source of strength. I just respect the hell out of that. I believe I've exposed the why extensively when talking about Alice, but I'll mention some addendums. For those of you watching this video that potentially might have siblings, older or younger, doesn't matter, ask yourselves this. Would you be willing to sacrifice any memories you have of them in order to, as Safalin said, cure yourself? It all comes down to willpower, and while Alice's wavered, Reko's held firm. If my disease is grieving for those I cared about, I'd rather remain sick, thank you. The bonds I form with others make me human, and I wouldn't abdicate of that for nothing in this world. Reko Yabusame, I'm sorry I wasn't able to keep you alive in my journey. May your voice reach us once again.
Would you look at that?
What?
Nothing. It's just, I expected this to be a little more disparate.
Just say who it is already, will you?
You got the number 7 chosen by majority vote was Jinibushi.
Meow. Thank you for choosing me, everyone. I just wish I would have been a little higher up.
Aw, don't worry, little guy. Don't worry, Gin. The Gin Protection Squad is a thing, and a lot of people love you.
I know. I'm excited to see where Big Sis Meow and Bucket Girl made it in this.
Oh, you're talking about her? I can't wait to see it myself.
The loner looks scary.
Yeah, I know. And the worst part is that I'm stuck with him.
Hang in there, mister.
I will. On to number 6 then. So turns out I can't apply my usual Danganronpa oriented humor to this since, well, the protagonist isn't a boy for once. But I guess that if there's any character where I could say this in, it'd be this one, so it's ya boy! Open the floodgates! It is him! No jokes here, I would never stoop so low as to laugh at the same unfunny shit for over 9,000 times. Joe Mama. God damn it. Bad jokes aside, let's talk about the most positive character in this game. I swear to all I hold dear, if Joe isn't smiling, something really bad is happening. And even then, he manages to smile in the end. I once heard that the hardest times are when we need to put on our biggest smiles. And that surely is the motto for our boy. It's such a shame that he only managed to survive until the end of Chapter 1. I think his unique presence and aura would have been a major asset to the cast of Chapter 2, and more importantly, would have prevented a lot of trauma for our protagonist. This entry is rather difficult to extend for the simple fact that, well, unfortunately, there's not much we know about Joe. As close as he is with Sarah, the game never reveals much about him. Masterfully so, actually. To the point where I don't know where to start for a character analysis. I can limit myself to say he's positive, and that seems to be true enough. But is it enough for something like this? I'll always argue that it's not. After an entry like Reko's, not having much to talk about Joe feels wrong. And yet, in my opinion, he deserves the number 6 spot. The problem is I can't exactly justify it. Or rather, I can, but it'll take some brain gymnastics. I'd say that, besides being the most positive character of the roster, the fact that he's still such a mystery is in itself the reason he's this high. It's not often we get such a bizarre combination in a single character. Of course, nobody would remember him for something like this, so I guess I can discuss his first prominent moment, the first main game. For a player who had just learned about the card system, learning the true role Joe was bestowed with worked as nothing short of a massive stab in the gut. Rewatching his final moments over and over again, I can't really discern what was going through his head when he tried to convince everyone that he was the sage. Perhaps he was trying to save himself and Sarah, but it's hard to say for sure. However, I do believe he had regrets over doing so when he was revealed to be the sacrifice, and upon his execution, he uttered his famous line.
There's something I want to say. Sure enough, it's hard for a guy and a girl to say this sort of stuff to each other, huh? I love you, Sarah. You're my best friend.
Always with that smile. And then there was the now second best scene in the game so far. What? AI Joe? He's... Huh? What? Is this some kind of joke again? There was a familiar face. The face of my best friend who I always saw at school. Exclusive to one of the routes after 2-2, this scene single-handedly almost made Joe enter the top 5. An absolutely beautiful send-off to one of the most despairing phases of Sarah's life. Tormented by hallucinations and fueled by guilt. When in reality, it was not her fault to feel guilty about in the first place. It took the real Joe to remind her of that. So cheeky, when it's Joe of all people. Joe Tazuna, I leave you with a prayer. Extend your hand to them. Make sure they make it. Watch over them.
And it's time for...
Actually, I'm pretty happy about this one.
That isn't like you.
No, really. It's really good she managed to get this high up.
Roll the animation. The number 6 chosen by majority vote was Kyotaro.
I'm really grateful to everyone who voted for me.
Like I said before, I'm really happy that you're this high up in the majority vote poll.
It's funny. Always thought I'd be the forgettable face of this cast.
No, that would be Miss Sarah.
So, stop being a bitch.
Anyway, everything to say about now has already been said. I'm really fond of her, so the fact that she's higher here than in my actual list fills me with joy.
I heard what you said about me and Reko. I'm thankful for the kind words as well. As for you, so, just stop being so.
So what?
I'm out for now.
See you later now. Let's go on to number 5. And now for something a little different. Let's talk traders, okay? The symbol of resistance himself. You know, I rarely see people talking about Kai. Why? This man is incredibly interesting, and I'd honestly consider him one of the most vital pieces of this puzzle that is Your Turn to Die's lore. That aside, this is not a jab at anyone. I just find it puzzling myself. Hopefully I didn't insult anyone. I'm simply here to convey my opinion. That being said, Kai Sato. Holy shit, the amount of stuff we are given about him in the short time is in the game. Since the very beginning, we are given every single reason to suspect him. I mean, from very early on, he's revealed to be Sarah's stalker and therefore directly related with her kidnapping. And throughout the entirety of Chapter 1, he just grows more and more suspicious, culminating in the reveal that he was part of the organization responsible for the death game in the first place. But it's funny, isn't it? Our first thought towards someone at least partially responsible for the situation would probably be something of the likes of, "You fucking asshole." And while that is perfectly sustainable to think, in most cases anyway, can I say that I hate him? Not really. In part because my hate was directed elsewhere during the entire main game. If it had been focused on that, Kai would have probably been my target, however briefly that phase would have been. But rewatching the first main game, one thing popped to mind. A certain someone guided the hand of the traitor, or rather his affection for said person. An assassin with a heart of gold and a wish to see the death game crumble. I swear I've heard something similar before. While I do prefer Maki's character over Kai's, I'd say they're, at the very least, comparable. Which is not something I normally do in these. And that's because I can apply some of my old explanations from the top 10 Danganronpa V3 characters. Mysterious character with very little in the way of backstory. He develops a deep affection towards Sarah, and that makes him act trying to boycott the death game from the inside. Unfortunately for him, betrayal is not met kindly from Asunaru. Placed inside the very game he tried to stop, he proceeds to do his best to ensure one singular outcome: the survival of Sarah Chidoin. Although he ultimately accomplishes that, the price to pay is incredibly large. His own life, as well as Joe's. He pleads one last time. Don't vote for him. Vote for So. He's a dangerous man after all. Foreshadowing, perhaps, to someone far viler? Nonetheless, his life is cut short by majority vote. However, the moment of his death is one of the biggest reasons he's here. After seeing Sarah break down in tears over the cruel fate of Joe and the torture of Miley, Kai decides to accept his loss. In his own terms, slitting his wrists wide open, he tells Sarah the following.
Listen to me, Sarah! This is resistance. Our lives toyed with to our enemy's whims. We are unable to save even a single person. As we die off, this is my feeble resistance. But it is but one more step toward counterattack. It is a step I was able to take because you bought me time. It is surely not futile. I entrust them to you. Our regrets, our hopes. I am satisfied.
Nothing of what he says is random. He knows what they're up against, and more importantly, how powerless they want the cast to feel. And so, standing up, going out on his own terms, and telling Sarah to basically look forward, carry everyone's hopes of escaping, denouncing the organization he once belonged to. Kai might be a character we see little of, but I have no doubt about his placement in this list. And it's almost exclusively due to this one moment. His message to Sarah in the computer, discovered in 2-2, was also a big highlight of his character, but honestly, it pales in comparison with what he accomplishes at the end of his life. I don't know what else to say regarding him. A traitor's life is seldom recognized as a virtuous one, and I'm glad to be able to tell a contrary tale.
And
Nope, don't bother. I'll do it for you.
you're really kind of an asshole, aren't you?
Says the pot to the kettle, Mr. Hiyori.
I suppose you'd think that.
By the end of this video, we're either going to get along fantastically, or we'll kill each other.
The number 5 chosen by majority vote was Q-Taro Burgerberg.
I've got some choice words for Mr. Fancy Schmancy over there with that green shirt.
Oh boy. Listen.
No, you listen up. I get that my actions were a bit selfish, but you can't say I wouldn't do it too.
That's literally what I said.
It is.
Sheesh. Q-Taro, you really ought to pay more attention to what's being said. Although he said nothing of the sort, I believe he thinks anyone could do it when confronted with death. Am I right, Mr. Content Creator?
Don't you dare get condescending with me, so...
Ooh, scary.
Alright, I'll understand now. Have a good rest of video. I'm mad basking being number 5 for the rest of the folks.
Why so serious, Ed?
Shut it. Let's keep moving. Well, shit. This is bad. Looking at these notes of mine for number 4, I'm kinda scared of announcing who it is. But hey, it's not like I can stay stupefied here forever, right?
Vibe check.
I'll have to ask forgiveness of all KG simps. But who am I kidding? Anyone in range of those arms is dead meat. KG Shinogi, everyone! Friendly Mr. Policeman has finally graced us with his presence in this countdown. And he's, yeah, out of the top 3. Yep, rain in the comments. It's easy to forget that maybe besides So, this fucker probably had the largest number of fans until probably Chapter 2 Part 2. And it's not even complicated to see why. On the surface, he's a calm, cool, and collected guy who's doing his best to help everyone, and especially Sarah's efforts of unifying the group. Besides his, proportions and physique kind of make him stand out, even if his hands are horrifying. And while 3-1A focuses a lot more on him, unfortunately for him this is up to 2-2. Chapter 1 gives us a pretty decent idea of what we should expect from him. He's one of the people that instantly trust in Sarah's abilities to lead them through dangerous situations. Although that is true, I gotta say that something about him stuck out immediately. And no, it wasn't his arms, but good try. I can't exactly put my finger on it, but the way he talked, acted, and such made me think there was a lot more to his character than the eye was allowing to see. Sure, he was a policeman, seemed friendly enough and all, but when it came down to discussing important details of his past, his response was either silence or delaying the response till later. That didn't really bother me personally, especially considering the situation everyone was in, but as the game went on, it was clear that our friendly Mr. Policeman was having some real issues, akin to Sarah's. This becomes evident in Chapter 2. While that unfortunately doesn't get expanded until 3-1A, KG's presence is probably one of the most felt in the entire game, only behind So, Kana, and well, actually nobody else. As for why, you don't really have to go far for it. Even in Chapter 1 he was prominent in helping to make decisions and solving puzzles and problems. But perhaps his best moment in the earliest parts of the game was right after the initial vote of the first main game. 5 people chosen for the final vote, those being Sarah, Kana, So, Joe, and Kai. And it's up to KG to be the one who reminds them that, without a proper discussion, they'd just be sending everyone to a slaughter. From that moment forward, I knew one of 2 things. This guy is surviving by either force of will, or by will of the fandom, or this guy is getting used for an emotional moment later on. And you know what? I'll be livid if this fucker bites the dust. So, good job on the will of the fandom, Nankidai. Chapter 2, like stated before, is where the intrigue around him picks up. Of course, since the main focus of this chapter are the splits that occur, KG's struggles are pushed back to a later part of the game, giving priority to the Yabusames in 2-1, and to... well, we'll get to that later on. Still, he manages to win a lot of us over with his overall charisma and ability to overcome adversity. Also, he kind of outplays So in the second main game with the help of Q-Taro and a plan of his own making, so he kind of gains points there. If there's something I can't really forgive him in, was this vote in that same main game. While I understand he was following pure logic, once again, we'll get over it later on. Oh, trust me, we will talk about this. Other than that though, I consider myself a firm admirer of KG Shinogi. Not a simp, but an admirer. Other people can have him. I have my favorite solid in the top 3. What?
Oh, aren't you stopping me rudely, like you did the last 2 times?
No, I've given up on that.
Ah, I see. You're a quitter.
If you see me like that, can't say I can change it.
Ha ha ha. You're a very unusual person, you know?
You have no fucking clue, buddy.
Let's see who we have this time then. The number 4 chosen by majority vote was Alice Abusive.
Humph, never imagined my entry into something like this would be presented by you, Shinsukimi.
Shush. That name doesn't exist now.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Can you not agree with me? It makes me uncomfortable.
Well, excuse me, princess, but I think I have the option of giving my own opinion on my own goddamn video, you blue-haired little shit.
Why did I agree to this?
Because you thought it'd be a good idea to torment him?
Shut it, Alice.
In any case, I've said what I had to about Alice. Hope you understand why.
If you weren't an older brother, I would be prompted to punch you in the face. But I do understand it.
Don't worry, So. I know what you're thinking.
You couldn't possibly.
We'll see. Soon enough. Thank you, Alice, but now it's time for number 3. Sarah motherfucking Chidoin. Hell yes, folks, we have a pro tag on our hands. Coming right out of V3 and its protagonist, I can tell you how in awe I was over the fact that we had scored 2 back-to-back bangers in this department. Okay, I hear ya. There is no way in hell that they are comparable. And yeah, you're right. V3's is a far better protagonist. But that doesn't mean I don't get to like Sarah. So just hear me out, okay? Evidently I placed Sarah so high on this list for all the wrong reasons, but holy shit if I'm not sticking to my guns for this. I'll just state it right here, right now. Sarah Chidoin is the most mysterious protagonist of any game I've played. And you can't deny that. Even after 3-1B, there's still a law we don't know about her. But speaking of 3-1B, it's funny just how a singular moment can change my entire perspective on a character, huh? Not going to discuss what that means in this list, but just know she would maybe be a contender for number 2 after that chapter. Moving away from an inevitable final top 10 with all the characters ever introduced in this game, once 3-2 comes out in like 2025, not a jab at Nankidai, let the man rest up after 3-1B, let's talk chapters 1 and 2, Sarah, yeah? Based solely on chapter 1, Sarah would find a hard time making it this high on the list. I mean, really, besides the fact that she gains a lot of trust from most of the cast, she second-guesses herself. A lot. To be fair, she's only a high school student thrust into all this BS of the death game and probable deaths and whatnot. Let me tell you, doesn't seem like fun stuff. Even so, she makes sure she does her best efforts to help everyone in the puzzles of the first and second floors of the death game. Aided by people like KG, Now, Reko, and Gin, they make it through. And, well, the end of the first main game really solidifies that feeling of helplessness and despair, with Sarah trying with all her might to save her friend from a slow, painful, and certain death. This is where the complexity of her character starts coming into display, with the uncovering of hallucinations of Joe and a feeling of guilt and unfulfillment at what transpired then. I don't know how to describe Sarah's mind during chapter 2 without reverting to cliches and cheap phrases. Anything I say will actually undersell the situation. Memes aside, something like what she experiences, none of us can imagine it. It's self-damaging, it's awful. Sarah's mind deteriorates to a point where she needs the help of someone else to remember what she's fighting for. Even with all that, she manages to fulfill her role as a spearhead. She leads people through the minigames. She makes most of the tough calls, and ultimately, her choice at the end of Chapter 2 remains the most difficult one I've ever had to do. In gaming, the final vote. 4 people. Keymaster and Sacrifice are known. The 2 commoners are So and Kana. A choice as clear as water, isn't it? So had been antagonizing Sarah during the entire death game and had even used Kana's gullible nature against her. Right? Telling Gin to vote for Kana to tie the votes, Sarah gets all the responsibility. That act alone made me respect her. But the choice itself was another thing. I won't go into detail about the choice here, but the simple fact that Sarah was willing to take up all the responsibility, whatever the situation was. Come on, you can't say that's not a protag move. In the end, there are a lot of things I feel for Sarah. Pity, respect. Nobody should have to bear with a burden like that. And adding to that, with every new discovery made, it becomes increasingly clear that Sarah and her family, the Chidoans, are central to the death game. You'd think beginning to know that would make her waver and hesitate. And while it does, it's not nearly to the same extent as it could have. She looks on. She faces whatever challenges Asunaru sends her way. Stand tall, Samurai Onna, Sarah Chidoan. Your role isn't quite done yet.
The top 3.
The moment of truth.
Who does the audience like the most in this?
Time to find out.
The number 3 chosen by majority vote was Kiji Shinogi.
Well, look who we have here.
Here to make fun of either of us. Kiji?
Nah, just thinking that I would find you somewhere, so.
Figured.
I assume you heard what I had to say about you, KG?
Wahaha. I did. And I gotta say, you're a fine speaker. Or a writer. One or the other.
Oh come on, he doesn't deserve all that praise.
Again, he's out of line, but he's right.
Don't talk yourself down like that. And certainly don't let someone like him talk you down like that.
I'm not. I'm simply aware of what I can do.
I just wanted to make that clear for you.
You didn't need to, but I appreciate the concern.
Aw, I'm feeling all fuzzy inside.
I don't know what your deal here is, but I don't like it.
Well, then do something about it.
That's enough, you two. Thanks for the kind words, KG. It's time for number 2. So, Hiyori. Fear. A fierce and primal feeling. The fear of death is the oldest trick in the book. And yet, it works. Always. Without fail. It was fear that fueled the actions of the Beanie Chessmaster. It was fear that fueled my rage towards him. It was fear. Always fear. And if it wasn't for fear, what would we have to talk about, I wonder? For he who fears nothing cannot become nothing. But he who fears everything becomes so Hiyori. Never in my life have I felt more unsure on how I feel about anything, much less a character, be it real or fictional. It's not hate. It's not love. It's not even fear of him. I simply don't know what to call this. For the first time in the history of my countdowns, I am at a loss for words. I could be here a day, a week, or even a month, fully dedicating myself to this script. And still, I would not be satisfied with how I write this entry. And you know why? Because So is a character that transcends the limits of our extremely primitive minds. Funny thing is, you probably think I'm kidding, but I'm not. I honestly, from the bottom of my heart, don't know what to say. From the start, I've always found him suspicious. When he showed his true colors, I was mad, upset. I even made fun of the fact that he was a liar.
This guy! He's a huge liar!
It's a lie!
It's a lie! I made fun of him, of what he was doing, of who he appeared to be. I despised all that he stood for. Chapter 2, mainly 2-1 and the start of 2-2, made me hate his guts even more. I hated him. I loathed him. So why? Why is it hurting so much to talk about him? I'll tell you why. It's because, out of all the characters in Your Turn to Die, he's one of the most human. Again, you might think I'm going insane, when in reality, I'm saying nothing but the truth. Remember that entire spiel about fear? Did you think it was random? Did you think that perhaps I just talked about fear because I wanted to justify something? Because I wanted to save face? If that's what you think, then I can't help that. I will say this though, no more lies, no more tricks. There are multiple possibilities for lies, for deceit, for whatever the fuck you want to call it. But the truth is singular. I believe that So is the best written character I have come across in all of fiction. And the part of the game that really shows that is none other than the second main game. Now, I ask you, you wake up in an unknown room, you have a weird collar on your neck. You are told you are in a death game with multiple people as participants. You are told your chance to survive is null. What would you do? Survival instincts kick in, and a little voice in your head whispers to you, abandon yourself. And that's what he does. Shin Tsukimi is gone from the moment the death game begins, and the character we all know appeared from the shadows. And yet, after almost sacrificing his own humanity to survive as long as possible, he develops it. A bond. A will to let someone else live on at all costs. That leads to the hardest choice in the game. So far anyways. Surprise me, Nankidai. In the intro to this top 10, I said this game broke me. And it's the only time I ever cried on stream. Not only that, it's also the only time that a complete 180 happened with my view on any character. Between an antagonistic jerk who seemed only keen on keeping himself alive, and a small girl with nothing but a wish for others to let him live on, the choice should be clear when in reality, the water couldn't be murkier. If you look at this entry objectively, I didn't say anything of substance. I'm helpless to describe the absolute perfection of So Hiyori's character, and so it will remain, perhaps until the end of Your Turn to Die. So?
Didn't think you'd actually do this.
You deserve it.
Do you? Also?
Yeah. Yeah, I do understand.
Damn it. Empathy for someone else. I promised I wouldn't allow myself to feel that ever again after that.
It wasn't your fault.
But wait, that means that number 1.
Yep, it's her. But right now, we're at the majority vote segment. And oh boy, do I have some explaining to do. Just play the clip. So?
The number 2 chosen by majority vote was Kazumi Mishima.
Okay. Listen. Yes, I did leave Mishima out of the top 10, but it's not like I dislike him. It was almost mandatory to do it in my eyes. And I know that many who voted for him voted because of something like this.
Mishima Gaming.
Still, you guys did vote for him, so I'll try to abridge this the best way I can. The award for best teacher in the whole damn world goes to this guy. I swear to all the lords above that I fucking adore him in the game. But out of sheer screen time alone, he has nothing on the rest of the cast, unfortunately. Had he survived the trial vote, and the story would probably be different. So, I'm sorry? I guess that's the max I can say about this. Professor Mishima,
there's no need to explain, young man. So here made sure to do so. I wish an enjoyable finale of a countdown, then. I shall join the rest.
Right. Shall we finish this, though?
Gladly. And make it a good one.
I will. Don't you worry. People who have been watching the Let's Play probably know who's at the top of this list. Yet, do they know how much I care for them? How much I want to see them happy? Smiling? When talking about the number 1 spot, I am reminded of a quote from one of my favorite Disney films. It might hurt you hearing this, but you know it's the truth. A truth you can't deny.
The flower that blooms in adversity is the most rare and beautiful of all.
A late bloomer indeed. It's astounding that from the moment she appeared on screen, I wanted to protect her with my life. A little lost girl, if you will. Someone who had everything she had taken at the hands of this death game, and still managed to find the strength and resolve to carry on. Words fail to describe the beauty of Kana Kizuchi's character. It hurts me so much even writing this. Just thinking about a character created by the mind of any one individual who is scaringly real and could very well be my little sister. Kana is so much more than a middle schooler. She's so much more than the little sister to Kugi. She's so much more than So's little puppet. Buckle up. Those of you watching should know exactly how the ride ahead goes. At the start, Kana is, well, in shock. Unlike Gin, we actually know what her first trial was. And knowing what happened really puts into perspective the beginning of the hell she would go through. From the death of her older sister Kugi to Mishima's death, and finally that horrible line that she says in the first main game. Enough. Kana just wants to go. Oh. Shit. No, don't do this. It's tough to dislike her, despite the fact that she did barely anything in contributing to the cause of the cast in the first chapter. However, one scene in particular made me understand the type of character she was. After the first main game, alone with So, she begs with him to not make Sarah sad, asking him if he hadn't felt anything from what Joe said in his final moments. She's caring, she's compassionate, she has a gentle nature, and while those on their own would assure her a place in this top 10, everything else just added up to make her placement really high. And this is without even mentioning what I consider to be her prime. Chapter 2. Just the entirety of Chapter 2. Despite being under the impression that Sarah hates her for siding with So like she did in the first main game and further down the line, Kana is the character with the most growth in this part of the game, rivaled only by So himself. Reconciliations, breaches of trust, and reconciliations again. This cycle drives her insane, as she just truly wants everyone to get along. Even after one of the Yabusame siblings is killed off, Once everyone gets under the same objective of escaping with the help of So, Kana looks the happiest she had ever been. Seeing her like that lit up my day any time that I recorded this game. And then, of course, the game snaps the cast back to reality with a literal and metaphorical block to escaping. Seeing no other way out, Kana decides to trade Sarah's current card, the sacrifice, to herself. However, this is far from the attitude she displayed in Chapter 1. She didn't do that because she wanted to die. She did that to save Sarah's life. The growth she experienced in the second chapter of the game materializes in full in the second main game. We talked about it from So's perspective. Now we see how this green-haired angel saw it. For her, the choice couldn't be more obvious.
Everyone, won't you vote for Kana?
She wanted everyone to use logic and let So live, so that he could help them escape that tragic death game. However, it's this line that completely broke me.
In exchange, I want you to believe in So, because he's really not a bad person.
Belief, the core aspect of Kana's character, laid in front of us at the most crucial of times.
But wasn't that a mistake? Real failure is wavering. Not trusting your beliefs is weakness. Stop it! And this time the right thing is to choose logic, so that you can escape. You should choose Kana! Just stop it!
The curtain closes with So screaming for her to stop, and the choice presented to you is made infinitely harder. Whether you loved her from the start, felt indifferent toward her, or even if you disliked her for being so whiny, that moment, the single moment in which she says to the player, "I am Kana Kazuchi, and I am not afraid of following my beliefs, so neither should you," makes her an absolutely superb, marvelous, formidable character. Any and all adjectives aren't enough. It's spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. Nankidai, thank you so much for creating this story, this cast. But above all else, thank you for creating the character of Kana Kazuchi, easily contender for my favorite in all of fiction. And Kana, thank you for reminding me that, in the end, every single one of us, every single soul, has its whisper of light.
Haha. Good job.
It's not over yet.
Yep. Can't wait to see you talk about this one.
Condescending or actual excitement?
Who knows? Let's play the animation. Got a feeling it's a long one. Was waiting for a tie. Guess it didn't disappoint. Welcome to the winner's room, Kana.
Thank you. Kana is glad to be here, but shouldn't everyone be here with us?
You know what? Kana's right. You guys are who you are in part because of everyone else. Besides, I'm sure you know that.
Maybe I should have believed in everyone from the start.
Come on, let's get everyone on the stage.
Alright then, everybody together now.
Ooh, I know what to say here.
Yeah, let's say it all together.
Thank you for watching. Phew. Man, that was a tough one. You still here after all that? If so, I really don't know what to say. When I was suggested your turn to die while I was playing Danganronpa V3, I really didn't think much of it. In fact, I completely forgot it shortly after. However, once I finished V3, I found myself needing a new game to Let's Play and ran through the comments to find any potential suggestions. There it was. Episode 1 was recorded, and well, the rest is history. I have been on this crazy adventure for like a year, and I already crave more. I can't even imagine the people I mentioned at the start of the video. In any case, if you're watching during the premiere, thank you so much for sticking with me through this probably horrible video. Before we wrap up, some shoutouts are needed. Firstly, I'd like to thank Cyber and Sibaka for the inspiration when it comes to text-to-speech characters in the majority vote segments. Cyber, I know you're probably not watching this top 10, but your channel is honestly one of my favorites when it comes to this fandom. Thank you so much for bringing joy to a lot of people. Second, I'd also like to thank the people who suggested this game to me over the course of my V3 Let's Play. Among them is a really nice YouTuber by the name of Zephyrim, who's currently translating Danganronpa Another at the time of this script's writing. Keep up the good work, my friend. And lastly, thanks to everyone who watched the Your Turn to Die Let's Play without spoiling. Part of what made this game so good was not knowing what was coming my way, and each one of you helped toward that. With all that said, we have reached the end of yet another shitty top 10. The best I can say is that I hope you enjoyed. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.